This is the basketball show. What they gonna say next?
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Basketball Show, brought to you by TCL Mobile and News Corp. I'm Jo Healy, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Shane Heal. Hammer, how you doing today?
Cut it out, Jo. I'm very well, thank you. Nice introduction, though. Gee whiz.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Lots to look forward to today. We will be joined by JackJumpers coach Scott Roth. Looking forward to hearing from him.
That'll be good.
And also Derek Rucker with Points Made,
Always
which is
good.
always a lot of fun. But
I'll flog him again.
Well, we'll wait and see. Particularly looking forward to you bringing back the hammer, though. What have you got?
Well, it's time. I don't know whether you remember, but last year, Jo, we started a movement, and it was about stop the flop. So we want to stop the flop again, get involved, and if anyone is caught flopping and around the place, we don't care what you do in other leagues. You can do whatever you want in college, you can do whatever you want in Europe or whatever, but the NBL, we don't flop. And we're going to call out Tyler Harvey. Now, Tyler Harvey's a great player. Superstar, absolute superstar. Don't worry about that. We love the way he plays and the floaters, the scoring, everything else. But if you check out some of his highlights, you'll be like me. You'll say, no. You've got to cut that out. And just too much exaggeration. And, you can see. It's on your screen.
He's not a big guy, though. Do you think that he sort of gets pushed and pulled around a little bit? Does that have anything to do with it?
Jo,
I'm just asking.
He's light. He could ride hurdles. He's light. But he exaggerates. And that's okay because you do whatever you can as a scorer to be able to get to the free throw line. So that's all good. But what you got to do is draw a line in the sand. The referees have to acknowledge it because you don't want guys coming in and then flopping, getting a little bit of contact and whatever at the offensive and defensive end. So we love his game, but we're going to call him out and hopefully he can make an adjustment. I noticed that some of the refs have, I reckon they've already done their homework and they've said, listen, this guy exaggerates contact. We're not going to give him all the calls. So I've noticed a little bit of an adjustment. Well done to the referees for being able to do it, but surely a tech foul comes if you keep doing it.
Hashtag stop the flop.
Stop the flop. Get involved and we will be good to go. Send in, I want to see, if anyone thinks people flop, send them in. We will put it up. We're going to call them out.
Yep, all right.
Stop the flop.
Let's do it. It's time now for our TCL starting five. Now, Hammer, I know this has been a pet peeve of yours for a long time. Out of bounds awareness. Talk to me.
It happened 4 times in one game. 2 guys stepped out of bounds twice in the same game. My head nearly exploded on the couch. The dog started running, tails between their legs. Not good. You can't do it. And the problem is, I watch some players, they actually practice it. They're stepping out of bounds as they're practicing or before the games and whatever else. You can't practice it. You've got to practice game shots. It becomes a habit. Just bad. I would have been so angry, filthy, if I had given up an open 3-point shot because I stood on the line.
Does it have anything to do with their shoes? I know that might be a bit of a random point. But for example...
What do you mean?
Hear me out here. For example, say the Curry 7s have a longer back heel by a good centimetre on, say, like the Dame 7s. I'm just asking the question. We're talking about millimetres here.
I like it, but no, nothing to do with their shoes.
All right,
no excuse.
One of those players was Deng Adele, who, let's face it, didn't have a great shooting night.
No, he struggled.
The other day.
He struggled, and we've all had bad nights. So we're not putting the hammer down on him for 0 for 15. But what we are going to do is put in the spotlight who he overtook to have the worst shooting performance of all time. There was 3 guys.
They're feeling relieved
that
right
have
now.
been 0 for 14. Aaron Trahair has been carrying that around with him now for 20-odd years. Same with Anthony Stewart, the Mr. Potato Head. He's carried it around for 20 years. And the man that I could not believe is Leonard Copeland. One of our greatest scorers and trash talkers of all time went 0 for 14. You guys are now relieved because our man Deng Adele holds it at 0 for 15.
What's your worst record?
Well, it wasn't that, but I reckon it might have been 1 or 2 out of 16 or something like that. It was pretty bad. Lucky. I reckon I might have been those sort of numbers and got a breakaway layup against a Brian Gorgian and Jason Smith team for the Titans.
We're all human.
Yeah, happens.
All right, let's keep it moving. Sam Froling is having a pretty bloody good season under Brian Gorgian.
He is tough. He really is tough. And I think he's an NBA player. He will continue to evolve. People forget that he is 7 foot tall.
And that he's so young.
He's still only 21 years of age, so he's going to continue to develop. He could not be in a better program than with Brian Goorjian. So his ability now to defend the post, pick and roll coverages, always in a stance, the accountability that Brian provides is outstanding. So he doesn't get away with anything. He's working hard, and I think you'll see over the next couple of years he'll get opportunities in the NBA.
The Aussies won the Asia Cup qualifier against New Zealand over the weekend. You and Matty Russell called the game.
Yep.
What did you see? What did you like from those young guys?
Well, I thought it was outstanding. I didn't know a lot of those guys. So to be able to see a guy, Dyson Daniels, 6'6", his dad played in the Seabull for Bendigo, Ricky Daniels, and he was fantastic. One of the great defender, awesome defender. I think his game translates to the NBL now at that sort of size. Unbelievable floater game. Still needs to work on his shot, but he was outstanding. And Rain Smith, what a name, Rain. How good is that when you're a three-point shooter? He was raining them all right. I think he had 6 threes, got a beautiful stroke, the kid from Tassie. So big future, and what an opportunity for those young kids at that age to put on the green and gold, something that no doubt they would have dreamed on for a long time.
Well, following that game, New Zealand great Mika Vukona announced his retirement from international basketball. There have been so many amazing tributes coming through. What's your lasting memory of him in terms of the impact that he's had on the game?
Well, just that he's a warrior. I mean, his team was always better because of the standard he set as far as his toughness and his intensity. He really was a warrior. He's undersized at every level that he played against, but he made his team better and set a standard for the Tall Blacks. And, you know, they're tough as a nation and the way they play and the pride they play with. So congratulations to him on being able to play that long and the success he had both at an NBL level as a pro, but also playing for the Tall Blacks as well.
All right, let's bring in former NBL MVP Derek Rucker now for points made. Guys, we'll start with an NBL focus. Who would you take, Tyler Harvey or Casper Ware? D-Ruck, to you first.
Look, I love Tyler Harvey much more than Casper Ware. I think Casper Ware is an outstanding player. He's had a great career thus far in the NBL, but Harvey's special. He's dynamic. Shane, you see those floaters. He's got the 3-ball. His quickness is what makes him super special in my opinion, and he can't be guarded. Casper Ware can be monitored and contained.
Hammer, you don't look like you agree with that. Make your point.
Well, not at all, because Derek's hypocritical. When he was dominating the NBL, he hated it when experts came in after a guy had played 8 games and started to say he was better than guys that had established themselves for a long time. Casper Ware is a superstar. He's won a championship, 20 points a game. He's the best defensive guard in the competition. Don't worry about that. And he's a winner. I cannot believe that you have sold out like that, Derek.
All right, let's move on, guys. We've got to keep this moving. Hammer, coming to you now. Who is the most underrated player in the NBL? Well,
I'm going to go with 2 because I think Derek's on the same page. I've got Kyle Adnam, who's been outstanding, 14 points a game in only 20 minutes of play, been sensational. But part B to that is Sunday Dech. I think he's a top 5 defender in the competition. He's underrated because he's holding down a starting spot, 10 points a game, and I think he's been great, and especially because he's improved his 3-point shot.
Derek, over to you.
I agree with Kyle Adnam, and Shane, you've obviously been following my social media feeds all over the place because you've bitten off a piece of my cake. Kyle Adnam is not only the most improved player, he's not only going to be the 6th man of the year, but yes, he is the most underrated player in the competition. And my second guy, Clint Steindl, his absence is extremely noticeable from the Perth Wildcats lineup. When he gets back in there and he's healthy, the Wildcats once again will be the NBL champions.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Big statement there from you, D-Ruck. Let's go to NBA now, guys. Who wins the West? Derek, you first.
The West, the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are coming out of the West. Right now, they're still getting their things together. Their team looks very good. I know, Shane, that you're biased towards Utah. I know you're probably going to say the Jazz, but right now the Phoenix Suns have the best leader in basketball in Chris Paul. They have one of the best shooting guards in the NBA in Devin Booker. They have a great big man in DeAndre Ayton. There's no reason why they cannot come out of the West, especially if Anthony Davis does not get healthy.
Well, you make great points, Derek, and I like the Suns, and I also like the Jazz, but I'm not picking either of those. I also like the Lakers, but I don't think they're going to win it either, just because LeBron is chasing that MVP, which he will get, but the amount of minutes that he's got and the amount that he's carrying, I think he falls short at the end. And the team that I don't like are the Clippers, but I think they're actually going to defy the odds and actually come through at the end to everybody's surprise.
There you go, the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. I think I'm going to have to stick with the Lakers. I reckon they'll pull it out, guys. Thanks so much for that, for points made. Derek, great to see you again. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Joe.
We are going in depth now. I'm pleased to say that the Tasmania JackJumpers coach Scott Roth joins us for a national exclusive. Scott, great to have you on the basketball show. I want to cut straight to the chase though. You're starting a new team. Is this the toughest gig of your coaching career?
I mean, it will be probably at the end of the day to get everything going here. I mean, it's one of the things though that attracted me to this job. I think it's a unique situation in professional sports to be able to start something from the ground up and get your fingerprint on it and make an impact right away. And when I heard about this job last year in the middle of the season with Perth and it was coming online that a possibility was going to be a team here, I was all in, and it was one thing that I really focused on and followed very closely. And lucky enough, things has played itself out over the course of the summer for me to come back to Perth. And I think the job is going to be a big challenge. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but I'm well experienced in going through a lot of different things in my career to take this job on.
Well, congratulations on the job, Scott. You've been lucky enough to be with the Perth Wildcats, one of the most successful teams in NBL history. What did you learn from your time there that you probably wouldn't have known when it comes to building an NBL roster?
You know, that question's actually been asked to me quite a bit, and I kind of give the first response is nothing. It's just confirmed at the end of the day what good people do when things are right, when from top to bottom, when you have a great ownership, you have great organizational people in there, and then you have fantastic players. And it just confirms the fact that if you're able to do those three steps very well, you can win. And again, I didn't necessarily learn anything. It just confirmed my beliefs on how you do things. And they are a professional team. It's no mistake for 34 straight years they've made it into the finals, and there's a reason for that. And we're going to try to duplicate some of that down here.
You've obviously been an assistant coach in the NBA. We've talked about the fact that you were with the Wildcats as well. How much do you lean on that experience and I guess that network in terms of building your roster from here on in?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be huge. You know, the last week or so here, I actually passed the last month since I got the job. I've reached out to just about everyone I know in the NBA. I'm trying to cast a big net throughout the league. The G League bubble's going on right now, so I have people over there scouting. And then I reached out to my people that I have in Europe. I've been fortunate enough to coach over there also, and so I have a lot of people in Europe looking for players for me. And it's huge. I mean, the NBA is obviously a marquee name. The NBL is achieving great things, and people in the NBA recognize it. And we're going to definitely partner off on that situation here, and I'm going to try to leverage it as much as I can.
Well, no team wins an NBL championship without great Aussies. What's your pitch to the Aussies? How are you going to get them over to Tasmania?
I think the biggest thing is, well, the city, I think, can sell itself. There's always great cities in all Australia. I've been everywhere where the NBL has been, and there's not a bad city in sight. And this is one of the cities, I think, that will attract people. It's a family-oriented city. It's got a great downtown, and it's going to be a state team. It's not just going to be Hobart. I think that's a unique situation. It's kind of like when I played for the Utah Jazz, it was the team of the state. And I think you can create that vibe down here. I also think that a lot of players are looking for what I was looking for, is to start a journey, a new journey, to create something special. And we're going to lure them down with the fact that this is a chance to build something from the ground up, be a part of something that's going to probably be a life-changing experience for them, and join me on the ride. And I think it's going to be a great ride.
You obviously can't name names, but are you targeting any one player at the moment?
Not necessarily any one. I have three players that I really have my high hopes to be at least in good conversations with and see where they're at. Everyone has a wish list, but the problem is 9 other teams also have a wish list. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. We are making some calls and getting out to the players that are not in the NBL right now. And it's going to be a unique season really at the end of the day, because in the past you've had your Australian players kind of coming up first, probably late in June for free agency, and then you start to maybe put your imports around them. I think it's going to be reversed now, and I'm going to have to probably look at imports early on and try to get at least probably 2 of those, and depending if the league goes to 3. And then in July, the league will probably be over by then, and then free agency will start. So it's kind of a little bit backwards. It's the nature of the beast with COVID and everything that's going on around the world. But I feel very confident we're going to find some really good players, and I'm very confident about finding some good Australian players that will want to come down here and join me.
Well, after seeing Cairns last year, you'd be confident too if you can nail 3 good imports, even with, maybe even less Aussies, that you've still got a chance to be able to win. How are your relationships, and what do you think you can be able to bring as far as quality for these Americans to Australia?
Well, I think still a lot of these American players are still have an eye on the NBA, and with my contacts, it's just going to be a natural progression for them to be around me. I'll be able to make calls back and monitor them. I think the same thing with younger Australian players that want to be involved with me. I've had great success with developing players like Nowitzki, Nash, Porzingis, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Valanciunas, quite a list of guys that I've been around and been fortunate enough to develop and have an impact in our lives, Paul Gasol. And so that attraction hopefully will bring in some of these players here. And then just the fact that I'm able to pick the phone up at any moment and be able to call someone in Miami or in Dallas or somewhere along the way to inform them how players are doing over here. So I think that's an attraction to be with us.
What about the Next Stars program? Is that something that you'll look at utilising as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've already kind of put feelers out for that situation also. Obviously, college basketball's finishing up, but I think Illawarra hit a home run with Justin over there. He's the perfect kind of next star, in my opinion, that doesn't need the ball, but is a problem on the court and someone that you have to definitely deal with night in and night out. So they've done an excellent job. I'd love to find a player of that caliber that's been in college for 2 and 3 years and has some maturity and is ready to come in and make an impact.
Well, mate, it's going to be a huge challenge. We appreciate you taking the time to give us that information. We wish you luck, and we can't wait to see it all unfold.
Yeah, I can't wait to get going, and anytime I can't wait for the season to start. Go JackJumpers.
Wonderful to hear from JackJumpers coach Scott Roth there. A really interesting conversation in terms of building a team from the ground up and having to go out and recruit. He mentioned that he's targeting 3 players, specifically 3 Aussies.
Yeah.
Who springs to mind for you?
It has to be Nick Kay. Nick Kay, because he was involved with Nick Kay at the Perth Wildcats, who now is playing in Europe. Any NBL team could sign Nick Kay right now. So if you're the JackJumpers, you would throw everything you've got at him to be able to build around him. An Aussie like that that's had success, he would have to be their number 1 target. And they could sign him tomorrow.
Anybody else? I'm thinking Dellavedova was sort of talked about in terms of potentially coming back out here. He put those rumours to bed. Jonah Bolden is one that springs to mind, possibly.
But maybe Daly after the Olympics is a different kettle of fish. I think he'd want to stay there, but he would be fantastic. Imagine signing Daly. Yeah, Bolden's somebody that we haven't seen him. Where is he? I haven't seen him since the NBA, so he needs to be playing somewhere, you would think, to be able to get things going again. But a couple of good names there. Yeah,
it's really exciting. I feel like Tasmanian basketball are in good hands with Roth down there. Exciting things to come for next season.
Plus, I think, like we said about Cairns, you can have success straight away if you get 1 franchise player, 3 Americans, a next star, and then some role players. You can compete. We've seen that.
What did you make about how he said that it was flipped on its head in terms of how he recruits and that he will get the Aussies first, the imports first, and then the Aussies?
Well,
Is that the way around that he said it?
That's smart, though. He should, because he can't sign the majority of Aussies yet because of the free agency. That'll happen in June. But if good players come about that are Americans now, he can lock them in, recruit around it, go after someone like Nick Kay. He can build a really good roster really early before the free agency starts.
Well, the NBL Cup has already delivered a few cracking games. Let's take a look at our top 5 highlights so far. Who doesn't love a buzzer beater? Jordan Ngatai was locked in the Taipans win over the Hawks. At 5 is this on the stroke of half-time.
Ngatai will get a look at it from here and got it! From well beyond the arc, Jordan Ngatai sinks the deep 3, and maybe that might be the spark for the Taipans in the second half.
At 4, Yanni Wetzel had a hand in the steal on D before Kiefer Sykes gave him a peach of a dime at the other end.
Straight back down the floor. Oh, yeah, baby! Brilliant move, Yanni Wetzel with the follow.
Casper Ware was huge for the Kings against Adelaide. He had 3 from deep within 90 seconds, but his step back over Isaac Humphries was seriously impressive.
Casper steps in on Humphries. Fade away, long range fade away, maybe for just 2, but that is brilliant.
That's tough.
Next up, Matt Hodgson went one-on-one with Ben Moore in the paint. The Bullets' big man most definitely came out on top.
Hodgson turns baseline and the reverse jam, if you don't mind. And he's back from injury as well. That'll do his confidence a world of good.
And at number 1, what's worse than Melbourne United losing their first game of the season? Losing said game to Bryce Cotton and the Wildcats.
Cotton for 3. Yes!
Oh my goodness.
He just keeps delivering late in games.
Oh my. Might have got a foul as well. This man, he's just going to rise up and never looks like missing.
Well, there you go, Bryce Cotton, 29.7 assists against Melbourne United. One thing is for sure, he has saved you from having your head shaved.
That is a good thing. That would not have been a pretty sight. So thank you, Bryce. You are a superstar. And what an effort it was. I mean, he just keeps coming through year after year.
He does. What did you make of the fact that we've had this conversation in terms of D-Ruck talking about how Perth will absolutely smash United come a final series?
And he's already gloating.
After what you saw?
Off air, he's gloating already. Well, United needed that. Well, I said that United's probably going to lose 3 to 5 games for the season. They weren't going through undefeated. This will be good for them to be able to do that. They've still got 2 of their better players out as well. So huge upside. I wouldn't be too concerned. I'd actually see it as a positive if I was Dean Vickerman.
All right, let's get into our Aussie Watch in the NBA, starting with Philadelphia and Ben Simmons. A career-high 42 points.
And why?
Does that not put you back in your place?
What? That only emphasises exactly what I've said. He is capable of having massive games, but he's sort of a bit submissive into just playing a role. Now, why did he have 42 points, Joe?
You tell me.
Because it was right before they were naming the All-Stars and the starters. That's why he did. He came out with an effort to be able to make a big play and to be able to say, yeah, I'm the man. Embiid's out. I can go and drop 42, which I know he's capable of doing more often.
Yeah, okay.
And then he didn't make it, and then he sat out a couple of games. I don't know why that was.
Through illness.
Okay.
I don't want to believe what you're saying. I don't necessarily think that that's his mindset.
His mindset wasn't to go get 42 points to try and be a starter on the All-Star.
Maybe a little extra motivation, perhaps, but
who needs extra motivation in this day and age? You don't need extra motivation to be able to go and play. Maybe I got more confidence in him than he's got in himself. 2
games out, and he's got 24 points in the fourth quarter against the Raptors. That's another great showing.
This all the time. I'm with him. I just want him to continue to play with this sort of aggressive mindset. It's not about going to get 40 all the time, but just be aggressive, Ben. Come on, we believe in you.
The Utah Jazz, we're a fan of them here at the Basketball Show.
Joey.
They are killing it.
Killing it. 20 out of 21 games they won before they lost to the Clips. So, unbelievable effort. But you've got to question, I mean, they're great. Have they peaked too early? It's a long season to be doing that. I would have loved to have seen them playing like this in the second half of the season.
Yeah, you say that, but then also we've talked about the fact that you think LeBron James is going to run himself into the ground trying to go for that MVP. Maybe that opens the door for the Jazz to continue. Maybe. We'll see.
I hope they do well. I mean, I love watching the Jazz play.
Shout out to Patty Mills as well. He's averaging a career high. I think it is 13.2 points a game. Great to see him doing well. Love keeping an eye on the Aussies.
Yep, no doubt, all making a contribution. And, we've said it, Paddy's in that mindset of playing for the Olympics and that Olympic mode, scoring, Paddy, and doing a great job.
All right, that's all we've got time for. Another Basketball Show done and dusted.
Oh, can't wait for lots more hoops this week.
Exactly right. Thank you to TCL Mobile and News Corp. We'll see you next week.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.